Hi, I'm Maggie.
Hi, I'm Mark, and this is
Spatial Report. Welcome to the Esri Canada podcast that connects our user community with the latest and coolest trends in the world of ArcGIS. On today's show,
we'll go beyond your typical spreadsheets, charts, and graphs by learning how to create maps with ArcGIS for Microsoft 365.
Then our ArcGIS Online GeoGeek will help us to make changes to our data with the ArcGIS Web Editor.
And Drew Carey is ready to play that sad trombone sound as I lose another round of M versus M.
We're going to dig deep and give it 110%, so let's go. Well, Mark, we're back for another episode as we approach the end of the year. How are things going for you?
You know, Maggie, Samson, things are rolling along. It's November. It's hockey sweater weather, so I love that. But yeah, things are going all right. How about you?
They're great. I just went on vacation. I'm excited to wrap things up. And all year is hockey sweater weather for you, Mark, so I'm not really sure why that's special, but yeah. Well, as we're getting closer to the end of the year, I know I'm feeling happy approaching the holiday season. I'm sure you must be as well. I know you love holidays. So other than the beautiful family holidays that we love so much, what's making you feel mappy lately, Mark?
Oh, well, you know, this is the mappiest time for us GIS geeks because GIS Day is near. It's very exciting. So the actual big day is November the 20th. That's the Worldwide GIS Day. And there are events that are happening all across the country. So if you want to learn more about what's going on in your neighborhood, check out gisday.com, and they'll have a listing of all of those registered events that you can check out. However, we also have our Esri Canada event, which is GIS Day in Canada, and that is the day before on Tuesday, November 19th. It's going to start at 11 a.m., and we're really going to focus on a lot of the stories of how you, in our user community, is using GIS to tackle real problems. So there's going to be lots of different presentations going on talking about their work. So I'm very excited about that. And we also have our keynote speaker, who is Deanne Whalen. She's a documentary filmmaker who spent 6 years traversing the entire length of the Trans-Canada Trail, which is, of course, the world's longest trail. Man, my legs must be so tired after that. I don't know how she did it. But she's going to talk about that story as part of our keynote. And we also have some technical sessions that are featuring a lot of our GeoGeeks. So we're going to have Allison, we're going to have Sue, and someone named Maggie Samson who's going to be doing some presentations as well. So we're very excited about doing a little bit of tech for our users as well. And if you happen to listen to this late, all of these presentations are going to be recorded and will be available on our website. But yes, very excited, makes me very mappy.
Yes, it's definitely mappy. And the thing that's making me mappy is helping me prepare for my presentation at GIS Day in Canada. And that's something that you may have seen come out a little while ago, but it's still pretty new, which is the Esri Support AI chatbot. So it's something that you can find on our Esri Support site. And it's a new tool that's been added to help you get just the bottom of some pretty simple questions or workflow problems that you might have before resulting to contacting tech support. You know, I use it definitely sometimes to find out those little workflows. Maybe you've forgotten exactly how it works, or it's something you've never tried before. It's a great way you can just ask it a simple question in, regular human text like you would with something like a Chat GPT or a Gemini for Google, same kind of tools you've seen around on other sites. But you can ask it a simple question like, how do I snap two polygons in the web editor? And it'll tell you exactly how to do that with different steps. Or you can ask it more technical questions about documentation, where to find documentation, really anything that you might be able to find on the Esri support site with just a little bit of extra help with that AI chatbot feature. It's trained only with Esri content. So that's, our technical support site, documentation, blogs, internal support information, just to get you specific information that's not going to be relevant to other tools, just Esri tools. And it is available for those who speak French in over 40 languages. So French is included, and you'll be able to get the answers that you need in the language that works for you. It's not a replacement for technical support, but it's a great place to get started if you have more of a simple how-to question or just looking for small resources. When you have bigger problems, it's still definitely best to go to tech support for that help, but this is a great place to go when you're just sort of trying to answer some simple questions, or maybe you don't know if you need support yet. Great place to start. So it's been around for a while in the support app, but it is available on the website now, and it gets better every day. I recommend you check it out and ask some questions in there.
Man, I need to ask that AI bot a lot of questions about
Well, it's
GIS.
impossible to keep up with everything. Now you don't have to. You got the chatbot to help you stay on top of things.
Perfect. Another sign the AR robots are taking over, so I can't wait.
They're helping, not taking over.
Coming up next, we'll dive inside the Arc to introduce you to ArcGIS for Microsoft 365.
We use Microsoft 365 all the time as a part of our daily workflows, from building spreadsheets in Excel, managing content in SharePoint, and collaborating with our coworkers on Teams. But did you know you can bring these business apps to life by using interactive maps? Incorporating ArcGIS intelligence inside of Microsoft has never been simpler.
To tell us more about how to connect Microsoft software with Esri's mapping capabilities, we are joined today by our colleague Mike Gregotski. Not only is he the guy that approves my timesheets, but he's also plugged into the world of ArcGIS for Microsoft 365. Mike, you finally made it. Welcome to your podcast debut.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Mark. It took a little while, but here I am. This is fantastic. Thanks for having me today.
Oh, we're really excited to have you here. And it's really interesting that we're going to be talking about ArcGIS for Microsoft 365. It's not something that we think about all the time, but it actually has a lot of power. So why don't we start at the beginning and give us an explanation of what ArcGIS for Microsoft 365 does and how it integrates with the Microsoft ecosystem.
Yeah, that's a great way to start out here, Mark. So at its highest level, it's a suite of data visualization components that allows us to do location analytics directly in business apps. So more specifically, it's a grouping of ArcGIS apps that integrate directly into Excel, SharePoint, Teams, Power BI, and Power Automate. So not only are we mapping in these Microsoft products, but we get the ability to analyze and understand data and basically make spatial decisions and share this information in this environment. So the listeners to the podcast, they're probably more along the lines of like GIS professionals, or they're using GIS in their day-to-day work. And they may have tools available to them like ArcGIS Pro or ArcGIS Online. When they think of then, like, why should I start using ArcGIS for Microsoft 365? Then it seems like maybe like, where's the fit there? Well, this can be another tool in their GIS toolbox that they use, or more holistically, they can look at it as a tool that helps enable the non-GIS professional. So perhaps the knowledge expert that works with them, or if there's people who are asking them for mapping information, you can enable them with ArcGIS for Microsoft 365, and then they can use these tools in an environment which they're likely very familiar with and work and be successful with a little bit of GIS tools to help them in their workflows.
Absolutely. I think it's really exciting for everyone to know that these tools exist because we all do use Microsoft 365 all the time. So it seems pretty obvious why this would be a useful product, but maybe you could just summarize some of the key benefits of this tool.
Yeah, for sure there, Maggie. So I guess leading from where I was sort of going with the first answer there too, like the real key benefit I see is like we're democratizing GIS capabilities for a large group of people. So that knowledge expert, they get their hands on some spatial tools. They can make better decisions using location as part of the decisions that they're making. So more specifically, let's look at Excel, and then let's look at ArcGIS for Excel. I was reading the other day that spreadsheets generally, all the spreadsheets that are out there, they contain about 80% of them, they contain data that has a spatial component to it. So if we're looking at something like a job, like a planner in a school board, they may have a spreadsheet that has some school addresses in it, lots of attribute information associated with the schools on classes, and so on. So they have that spreadsheet in Excel. With ArcGIS for Excel, they can very quickly plot those locations on a map. This is going to give them the spatial awareness of the schools, and also symbolize based on the attributes that they have, which is just terrific. It's a great first step. But then they can do a lot more. So within the tools that we have in ArcGIS for Excel and the whole ArcGIS system, we have a rich amount of demographic variables based on census information, like hundreds and thousands of variables available to us that allow us to geo-enrich the data that we have. So this basically allows the school planner and school board planner in this situation to perhaps analyze the population around the schools. What's the population like? Are there a lot of people moving into the area? Are there people moving out of the area? What's the age breakdown of the population? Are there a lot of school-age children, or are there going to be less school-age children now and in the future? Will this school therefore become oversubscribed or undersubscribed. So, this leads them to be part of the decision making that's happening, because we have spatial information here to help, underscore, like, perhaps we need more classes, more teachers, more schools, or less of these. So in the past, the GIS professional had to do that work. Now, the key benefit really of this product is that planner, that knowledge worker, has the capability to do this work, large part, by themselves.
So let's highlight some of the nuts and bolts of all this. So describe some of the main features of the product.
Yeah, I'll stick with Excel and ArcGIS for Excel. So we talked about mapping, and we can map fairly simply addresses, postal codes, XY coordinates, and that's terrific. Like, I don't want to underscore how important that is. But we can map even more. We can map what we call custom location types. So these would be line or polygon features. So your organization may have a set of boundaries, like the school board may have school districts, or the catchment areas for each school, or municipalities have a zoning layer. Commercial businesses may have sales districts. With these boundary layers, they could publish those up into ArcGIS Online or ArcGIS Enterprise, and then with spreadsheets that have information related to those boundaries, those different the parcels or those different school districts, and so on, we can then essentially do a join against those in Excel and map that, and then show the information directly in Excel that was on those spreadsheets, which is really powerful. And if you don't have your own boundary layers as well within the Living Atlas, we have a lot of different layers as well that are available with well-known geography types. So census subdivision, census tracts, forest rotation areas, lots of great stuff that we can do there to display on a map. Another real main feature of Excel, which came out a few releases ago with ArcGIS for Excel, are the ability to use functions. So if you're an Excel user, you are probably pretty proficient at, like, stringing together formulas and so on, either through building out on the toolbars or writing the formula dialog itself. And with this, we can do the same thing with the ArcGIS functions we have. So we can get XY addresses, XY coordinates from addresses, or vice versa, do some routing, do some geo enrichment, all within the table without even opening the map. So this is pretty powerful, because that the person who's proficient in Excel doesn't even have to get to the map yet before they start working and doing a lot more with ArcGIS for Excel and the data that they're working with.
Absolutely. I find this whole Excel option, ArcGIS for Excel, really fascinating and I think underutilized. So there's some really great features in there that people should take a look at. One of the things too that Microsoft 365 really helps bring to a workspace is teamwork, collaborating with other users, collaborating across your organization. So how does ArcGIS for Microsoft 365 facilitate teamwork and collaboration in the tools that it has available?
Yeah, thanks, Maggie. It facilitates teamwork and collaboration in a couple of ways. So let's take a map that you've made, and we'll start with ArcGIS for Excel. And we want to share and make this available to others in our organization. We want to discuss the map. We want to talk about the findings that we have. So the best way that we can do this is to use our ArcGIS identity, which would have a capability in your ArcGIS system to publish to ArcGIS Online or even ArcGIS Enterprise. Then once this live map is published, your internal audience, you can give them access to it, or if you see fit, you can make it available to the public. So here's where the possibilities really get endless. This map can now be consumed in any of the ArcGIS apps that are available. It could be a web map. Others in your organization could do further work with this data, or it can just be a point of discussion. Now, I've been talking heavy about ArcGIS for Excel, but when I mentioned other ArcGIS apps, some of these other ArcGIS apps can be the different components of ArcGIS for 365. So with ArcGIS for Teams, perhaps Mark and Maggie were in a chat and we're discussing a map that we've been working on, or a topic we've been working on. With ArcGIS for Teams, we can directly bring that map into the chat, bring that map up. We could all explore it independently. We could even sketch and annotate it. And if we wanted to, we could kick over to a meeting and have that map up in a meeting and explore it all together there, which is a great way to do that without having to get out of the team's environment. It's all done right where that collaborative work is happening. And if we go, we look at one of the other products, take a look at SharePoint, for instance, and at its whole, SharePoint is really a collaboration tool. We put information on site pages for others in an organization to have access to. So with ArcGIS for SharePoint, we can take any of these maps we've created that are available in our organization, bring them up, put them on a site page to go along with all the other great resources that might be compiled that we want to share in our organization. So lots of ways to start collaborating and lots of ways to build on teamwork within ArcGIS for Microsoft 365.
Before we wrap things up today, we have to ask you our regular finishing off question because we've covered a lot of things across these tool sets. But if you could just leave our audience with 3 things that they should know or remember about ArcGIS for Microsoft 365, what would that be today?
Yeah, for 3 points, I'd say the first thing to remember is like we're bringing GIS to end users, to the knowledge workers who are actually doing the work and need that information. So that GIS professional, they empower that user, and then we allow them to do the work in ArcGIS for Microsoft 365. Secondly, and if we want to go back to a tool, which I think is always good to get right into the weeds here, check out the functions in ArcGIS for Excel. You can string those spatial functions together. That's very powerful with what you can do. Third, I would say just try ArcGIS for Microsoft 365. Get the add-in for ArcGIS for Excel, add it into, just add that right into Excel there. You can do it on the web, you can do it on the desktop. Open up a spreadsheet that has some spatial information. You've got, 80% of your spreadsheets probably have spatial information in it. So map that, show others what you can do. That's a great way to get started with it.
Absolutely. I know I want to get started right away. I keep hearing great things and I need to start using it. So I hope some of our listeners will give it a chance as well. Thank you so much for joining us today, Mike, on Spatial Report. That was Mike Gregotski. He is the manager of our technical marketing team here at Esri Canada, and he's joining us from the head office in Toronto today.
And after this short break, we're going to add, delete, and modify some features with our GeoGeek.
From navigating everyday obstacles to tackling the most pressing issues facing our world today, tune in to Geographical Thinking to discover how geospatial solutions can help solve problems and drive positive change. My name is Michelle Brake, and I'll be your guide as we explore stories, ideas, and conversations through the lens of geography. Listen and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform.
Now time for the GeoGeeks, our regular segment where we bring in a subject matter expert to tell us what's noteworthy in one of our core ArcGIS products.
And bringing the heat this time is our ArcGIS Online GeoGeek, Mr. Brandon Wheatley. Welcome back to the podcast, Brandon.
Awesome. Hey, Maggie. Hey, Mark. So happy to be back. Thanks for having me again.
It's great to see you and hear from you again. And I know that you have something exciting to talk to us about today. We're talking all about the ArcGIS Web Editor. I know it's pretty new, so how about you just get us started with telling us what it is and what it can do?
It was first released in ArcGIS Online with the June 2024 update, and it's been available since September for ArcGIS Enterprise 11.3. And what I can tell you about the ArcGIS Web Editor is really the main goal is to provide an easy data editing environment for both our casual users all the way up to our powered users who are constant, frequent ArcGIS users and everywhere in between. And so one thing you'll notice is one way to help accomplish this nice streamlined edit environment is we've mimicked the look and feel of ArcGIS Online Map Viewer. So it's a familiar environment that should be comfortable to you and to most of our users while providing a 100% editing focused experience. So it's a little bit different than Map Viewer, but can do a lot of really great, powerful edits right out of the box. So you're going to get access to your classic edit tools to be able to create features, copy and paste existing features, of course, make those attribute edits so you can get into your attribute tables and change anything tabular. As well as being able to move existing objects, reshape them, so change the shape and looks and feels of your polygons or your lines, as well as doing things like split, merge, a lot of the common editing tools, but even more so into things once you're sketching new geometry, you'll have the ability to undo and redo your actions, so a lot of flexibility for your end user, as well as adding things like geometry guides or editing constraints when sketching as well. So if you're ever doing things like drawing new lines, polylines, and you want to specify an exact angle or a distance for that line segment, you get full flexibility when generating new features. More editing capabilities, things like snapping, absolutely included in this first iteration as well. So you can make sure that data accuracy is there. And for when you kind of get used to the environment and you start to become more proficient with the new ArcGIS map or web editor, you can start to leverage keyboard shortcuts. So keyboard shortcuts very popular among our suite of ArcGIS products, and that's no different here with the web editor. Of course, there'll be your shortcuts for actually doing common editing tasks to bring up some of those tools that I mentioned. But you can actually use shortcuts in this case to enable tools, to turn them on and even become active. You can use those keyboard shortcuts to open and access different panes in the environment. You can use them to navigate around your map with like the D-pad or your arrow keys, and even when applying editing constraints as well. So lots of flexibility in there with keyboard shortcuts when doing your edits. Definitely be sure to reference and check out the documentation. The full list of all those capabilities are out there already. And last but not least, of course, a variety of selection tools. Your classic rectangle selection, polygon selection. Got to have the fun lasso in there. Got to give our users the fun for that. But you're not stuck with just selecting features from a geometry perspective. You can select your features through a table or when performing an attribute query. So lots of kind of really core editing functionality baked into this first release, which is great to see. And anyone out there that's a creator, professional, or a professional plus user type can start to take advantage of the ArcGIS Web Editor today, if you haven't already.
Oh my goodness, Brandon. That is actually pretty remarkable how much you can do within the ArcGIS Web Editor, doing all of these core edits to your features. But I'm sure the questions coming up into mind, and especially in my mind, is like, can I do this all in ArcGIS Pro anyway? So this kind of leads to sort of the grander question of why would you use ArcGIS Web Editor over, say, ArcGIS Pro?
Yeah, you are correct, Mark. You're bang on in saying that, yeah, if you can access the web editor, you also have access to ArcGIS Pro and can perform obviously all of the same edits. But sometimes it's a matter of choosing the right tool for the right job. Just because I've got a Ferrari in the garage doesn't mean I'm using it to get groceries every time. Sometimes it's, picking the right tool for the job. And in this case, this is kind of the same kind of decision making you can come to. The first I'd say is probably purely out of convenience. Because it's an online environment and this tool is available for ArcGIS Online and Enterprise. If your data is already hosted in the cloud, whether it's online or Enterprise, making changes to those layers and those hosted feature items is going to just be a lot easier. So you're already online, you can jump into the web editor, make those edits, whether they're geometry or tabular, and just kind of sync those changes right there, and everything remains in the cloud and you're good to go. It's not hard to jump into ArcGIS Pro, make those changes and re-upload them or, overwrite that web layer. But is it save some time and a little bit easier to do it online? Yeah, absolutely. So there's that really from a convenience point of view, but you also have to think of maybe who's doing these edits and the type of person that's performing these, because it is a less complex environment overall than ArcGIS Pro. Right, as I mentioned, the whole point of the web editor environment is to provide a streamlined, simplified experience. And maybe you're more of a casual user that isn't really familiar with ArcGIS Pro, right? A lot going on in there, a lot of tools, a lot of different things that can kind of get caught in that you don't need. So maybe you want that more streamlined experience of the web editor. So it's really about choosing the best tool for the job. But if I can go on a little bit more, I'll say that just because it's not as maybe powerful as Pro doesn't mean it doesn't come with some of the really great handy features that you can take advantage of. Things like contextual toolbars, right? We know that in ArcGIS Pro, that's really big and really helps make that environment really powerful and easy for the end user. You're in a certain tool or you've selected the right thing, and then a series of options become available based on that selection. Well, the ArcGIS Web Editor works the same way. So there are contextual toolbars right in the web editor. For example, when making a selection, a subset of tools or options are then going to become available. For example, if you select two polygons that are in the same layer, the merge tool is going to kind of become available and active for you, because that's a common workflow that's available when selecting two polygons in the same layer. So there's lots of great ways that the web editor is still simple, but still very powerful and streamlines your editing process. It can also help maybe save a little bit of your own time. If you're somebody that has a lot of things going on, yeah, you could do the edits yourself, but maybe there's somebody else in your team that could help share that workload. So you could pass those simpler edits off to somebody else on your team. You can stay in ArcGIS Pro and do some more heavy lifting, and then have those edits passed back to you and are ready for you when you're done. I'd also be remiss to mention you can do edits in Map Viewer currently, right? You can get in there and make an edit or create a feature in Map Viewer as it stands. And you can also do edits in the edit widget in Experience Builder. So there are two other ways to still perform edits online, but I think you'll find those are really quite simple edits compared to the new capabilities in the ArcGIS Web Editor. It is going to be more powerful. There's more capabilities there. So think of it kind of as a step between those different options. And really, that's what it is. It's just flexibility to give you, as the end user, more options and more variety for your data and your workflows.
Wow, you've given us a lot of detail on that. Thanks, Brandon. It really helps to understand sort of why and who is going to use the web editor. So great to have all that information. And because we're really always greedy for information, especially what's new, I know a new update of ArcGIS Online is coming any day now. So maybe you can give us a sneak peek of what's coming for the ArcGIS Web Editor.
Yeah, I rode that same boat. I'm always looking to see what's coming next and what's some sneak peeks. So I'm happy to peel back that curtain a little bit. There are going to be some more updates with the November ArcGIS Online update release. So there are some things and changes coming to Web Editor. The first of which is going to be the capability to overlay a grid. So you're going to be able to overlay grids of different shapes and sizes to your editing environment. Which is certainly handy, especially when doing a lot of feature editing. And you're also going to be able to snap to those grids. So it's not just a visual thing. You're actually going to be able to interact with them to help increase your data quality and overall performance. And a really handy feature for those that'll be leveraging it on the ArcGIS Enterprise side of things is you'll be able to leverage custom URL parameters. For those of you familiar with the URL parameter, you usually have like a long ID string for your ArcGIS Online hosted item. And your web maps also kind of have a specified URL parameter. Well, when working with the web editor environment, if you want to send somebody an area to go and work on, and it has maybe a defined extent, you can actually add those parameters into the end of your URL, and it's going to set that defined extent for when your colleague goes in to perform edits on that web map. Same thing, you can also have it zoom to a specific location in the map or a specific feature. And there's great documentation out already about how to actually go through and use each one of those. So when that feature comes out, you'll be geared with all the information that you need to set up even more specified environments for different types of edits. And one other thing that I did here, which I've been able to confirm, I can't say when, but it is on the roadmap. So I'm very excited to also let everyone know that batch editing will be coming to the ArcGIS Web Editor.
Thanks so much, Brandon, for sharing all this information with us about the ArcGIS Web Editor. That was Brandon Wheatley. He is a technical solution specialist with the technical marketing team, and he joined us from Toronto.
I'm about to secure the bag one more time because M versus M is next.
Taking a quiz, taking a loss. Isn't that sweet? That's me, espresso.
Not really the melody I was expecting there, Mark. That's beautiful.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Oh, yeah, this is M versus M.
Okay, well, I just recently got back from a trip in Ireland, and I was inspired by all the beautiful scenery and iconic filming locations that I saw while I was there. So we're doing Irish geography, sort of, also movie and or TV trivia. So I know you don't watch a lot of TV or movies, you might be hurting, but I think you got a good chance. Okay.
Fire away.
Question 1. Which Irish county is the setting for this very classic film, The Quiet Man? Less classic film, but still known, also filmed in this county, is Leap Year, if that helps you at all. It's like a rom-com. The options are Cork, Kerry, Galway, or Donegal.
Oh my goodness. What's the
They're
name of the movie?
famous.
A Quiet Place?
The Quiet Man. The Quiet Man.
The
It's
Quiet
like
Man?
It's a very old movie. That's why I also gave you Leap Year, which is not as old.
I haven't heard of any of these two movies.
Okay, then take a guess.
I'm going to take a guess and say Cork.
No, it's Galway. A very
Of course.
picturesque town. Very cute. Reminds me of Newfoundland.
Did you go there?
I did go there. I've been there before too.
Oh,
And Newfoundland.
did you?
Great places for everyone. You should all go.
Yes, I endorse that.
Okay. Maybe you have seen this one. Have you seen Braveheart before? Have you heard of it at least?
I've heard of it, yes. Is
Okay.
that with Mel Gibson and the paint in his face?
Yeah, you've heard of it.
Okay, okay.
It takes place, it's supposed to be Scotland, but they filmed a lot in Ireland. So they used an Irish castle as one of their main filming locations. Was it Blarney Castle, Dublin Castle, Trim Castle, or Malahide Castle? Don't know if it's pronounced that way, but you get the idea.
Oh my. Okay, so this is again a total random guess since I know absolutely nothing about any of this. I'm gonna say Trim just because it's a good name.
You're correct. It is Trim. Nice
Whoa.
work. You're a very talented guesser. This is a very popular filming location in Ireland and a tourist spot that I did see and I've seen before. The Cliffs of Moher. Maybe you've heard of them before. Not spelt like that. They're Moher. They're in a lot of movies, and I have 3 here. Which one was it not used for filming? The Dark Knight Rises, Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, or P.S. I Love You?
Wow. Geez, I wanted to say Smurfs, but that wasn't one of the options.
That's probably true, but it's not.
I will go with P.S. I Love You.
You're right. It's P.S. I Love You. You're doing great today. The other 2 did film at the Cliffs of Moher in those movies. So
incredible. Oh my goodness. See, this is the key to success. Don't know anything about the topic. I love it.
Exactly. Okay. Next question. This is a more recent movie, and it was like an award winner. So hopefully you've heard of it. This is another iconic location in Ireland. It's used for a fictional town called Inisherin, I believe, in the Banshees of Inisherin. I think that's how you say it. So recently came out movie. Was it filmed at Skellig Michael, the Giant's Causeway, Innismore, or Willock Mountains?
Oh my. Yeah, didn't it win an Academy Award? Or
it
was nominated?
I think at least it was nominated, yeah.
Yeah, because Colin Farrell was in that, right?
Yes.
I think, yeah. We'll go with the mountain.
Incorrect. Wrong. It's Innismore. It's an island, so not a mountain.
No.
Not a mountain. I don't think you've seen the movie based on
No.
that answer.
I have not seen that movie. Big shocker there. Okay.
Okay, one more question. This takes it all. It's another castle. There, you've hopefully heard of the Canadian-Irish combo TV show called Vikings.
I've heard, yes.
Okay, they often film at castles and places in Ireland. So which of these castles was used as a filming location? You'll recognize some of the names. Blarney Castle again, Dublin, Ashford, or Malahide. Same ones.
Okay. This is for all the marbles. I've not seen 1 second of Vikings, but my guess, because they're too lazy to go to a real castle, they want to stay in town, they went to Dublin.
Incorrect. It's Ashford. I thought you'd get it because it was the only different option, but nice try. All right, I win again. Yay! You got to take a trip to Ireland, Mark. It's a beautiful place.
Clearly need to take a trip to Ireland to understand how I lost. I think this is an important piece. So, All right, I guess it is my turn again. Here we go. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Spatial Report. Please check out our website at esri.ca/spatial report to learn more about the topics we covered today. We also post our videos on the Esri Canada YouTube channel. And don't forget to subscribe to the monthly Getting Technical newsletter that highlights all the latest news in our technology. I should say this last part in Irish accent, but I will not insult the Irish. This podcast is brought to you by Esri Canada, a technology company that empowers people and organizations by the science of where. Maggie, Samson, another podcast in the books. Thank you for so much. We'll talk to you soon.
See you next time.
All right, party on, everybody. Until then, happy mapping, everybody.